Welcome to Flashback Friday.
打死佢！亂動多分，雙手擺頭，冇低冇低，冇低冇低，手擺頭啊，對齊前面，
Hi, welcome to the Silver Spleen. My name is Dennis Morrow, and this is my review of Prison on Fire I and II. Ringo Lam is one of Hong Kong's best-known directors, especially to non-local fans. His films are often tense, unflinching glimpses at people and situations that most of us will never have to see. 1987's Prison on Fire tells the story of a group of inmates imprisoned in Hong Kong. Tony Leung Ka-fai, aka Big Tony, plays Yu, a young man who works in advertising. In helping his father defend himself against a gang of hoodlums, Yu commits involuntary manslaughter. As a consequence, Yu is sentenced to 3 years in prison. The film opens with him processing in with all the other arrivals. He's very much a fish out of water, and has good reason to be terrified, and not just because of the cavity search. Right from the start, prison proves to be an emotionally, psychologically, and physically uncomfortable place. He soon makes the acquaintance of Ching, a seasoned inmate who tries, with varying degrees of success, to teach the new fish how to act right. Ching is, of course, played by Chow Yun Fat in what I think is one of his best roles. But maybe that's because I think Prison on Fire is such a great movie. As part of Ringo Lam's Fire series of films, the others being City on Fire and School on Fire, Prison on Fire is a realist look at life and the people you find in it. I've never been inside a Hong Kong prison, but films like this one can at least give us a glimpse. I'm sure there are corners cut on accuracy, and the film opens with a disclaimer. But just seeing the day-to-day realities of prison life in Hong Kong is really interesting. Like when it kicks off in the yard and nobody gets shanked. There is, of course, a story taking place amid all this. Yu and Ching are trying to stay out of the way of the guards, led by Roy Chung, and the gangsters, led by Tommy Wong Kwong Lung on one side, and William Ho Ka-kui on the other. Oh, and Ching Fuyan in the middle, taking swipes at anybody within reach. One thing I noticed when I watched this movie again is how young everybody looks. And I mean everybody. Tony Leung, Chow Yun Fat, Chi Hong, and even Lo Hoi Pang. But never mind that. I also noticed how nice Prison on Fire looks. The DVD I watched was remastered, which certainly helped. But I want to also mention the cinematography and the shot construction. It adds a lot to an already powerful film. In Prison on Fire, Ringo Lam creates an intense, downright brutal film that contains extremely graphic violence but never becomes exploitative. It stands as a testament not only to his skill, but to the kind of movies that used to be made in Hong Kong. But it also stands as a very impressive and entertaining movie no matter where or when it was made. One of the nicest and truest things I can say about Prison on Fire is that it ages really well, unlike me. The story, the acting, the filmmaking, and the direction have lost nothing to the passage of almost 30 years, unlike me. Prison on Fire was popular enough that they made a sequel, but it took them 4 years. And they are kind of an important 4 years, because halfway between 1987 and 1991 is 1989. And halfway through any year is the month of June. And June of 1989 is a very important time for Chinese people. It's also important for Prison on Fire too. Tony Leung isn't in this movie, but Chow Yun Fat is. He's still up to his usual tricks, keeping everybody entertained or annoyed, depending on how they feel about him. There's a new officer in the prison, played by Elvis Choi Kam Gong, who rather unusually has both hair and pants in this movie. He's much more of a disciplinarian than Roy Chung was, and he has a penchant for breaking arms and legs as a means of maintaining order and discipline. And that order and discipline is being threatened. In the 1980s, groups of daring robbers from mainland China committed a series of brazen daylight robberies of jewelry stores in Hong Kong. If you've seen the original Long Arm of the Law, you know the kind of thing I'm talking about. Naturally, not all of these robberies succeeded, and so the presence of violent mainland convicts in the Hong Kong prison system became more pronounced. The rivalry and friction between Hong Kong and mainland inmates is the backdrop for the story in Prison on Fire 2. Naturally, it can also serve as an allegory for the way that Hong Kong felt about its looming return to the mainland in 1997. Early in the film, Chow Yun Fat attempts to speak with the mainlanders in Mandarin, but apparently his Mandarin stinks. Undaunted, he launches into a Mandarin song, Bloodstained Glory. Originally about the men lost during China's abortive 1979 invasion of Vietnam, the song became an unofficial anthem, and later memorial, of the Tiananmen Square students. But enough about context. In Prison on Fire 2, Chow Yun Fat tries to juggle his psychotic new jailer, a bubbling conflict with the mainlanders, and the growing alienation of his son, who wants nothing to do with him. Like the first film, Prison on Fire 2 veers at times between solemn and silly, but also like the first film, it's always engaging, entertaining, and builds towards an ending that's both vicious and unforgettable. Like the first film, it ages really well, even as it also captures a snapshot of the city's social and political past. The cast, some of whom return from the first film, again turn in really strong performances. Chi Hong, William Hokakui, Tommy Wong Kwong Leung, and Victor Hon Kwan return, and a typically young-looking Vincent Wan Youngming also turns in a notable performance. Prison on Fire 2 is the rare sequel that not only doesn't disappoint, but actually holds its own and goes somewhere different and new. I haven't said much about the plot of Prison on Fire 2 because I think it's a movie that you need to see for yourself. There are a lot of genuine laughs, shocks, and entertaining scenes in the movie. There is a whole bunch of impressive performances, and the direction and execution of the film are highly commendable. I strongly encourage people to see these movies if they've never seen them before. And if you have seen them before, watch them again. But when you watch these movies, do it by paying for them. Don't steal them. Don't watch them online. In the description, there's a link where you can buy these movies. That's what you should be doing. If you enjoyed this review, please tell me and leave a comment. If you didn't enjoy the review, leave a comment. If you enjoy the channel in general, please subscribe, because that way I'll have more subscribers. Thanks for watching.